Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to call the Crescent City City Council meeting regular session into order for this Monday, November the 21st, 2011. And Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Westfall? Here. Councilmember Shalong?
Here.
Councilmember Ania?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Murray?
Here.
And Mayor Slurt?
I'm here. Thank you. Mr. Ania, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome all of those that are here in person on this winter night. And I'd also like to welcome those that are joining us live streaming. Mr. City Attorney, do we have anything to report out of closed session?
Mayor, no final actions were taken in closed session.
Very good, thank you. So at this time we have actually several important acknowledgements. And the first one is an annual recognition of employee service and anniversaries. And I'm happy to say we had, let's see, 5 individuals, 3 that have been here with the city for 10 years. And they are Sergeant Eric Apperson with our police department, John Cochran, and Matt Hildebrandt at the pool. And then 15-year full-time employment is Lisa Spear. And then a 30-year full-time employment is Ron Watt. So what we'd like to do is acknowledge and recognize the employees, and I think only Ron and Matt are here. So I was going to propose that perhaps the whole council meet down in front of the podium with Matt and Ron, and then do we have a department head that could speak to Ron and or Matt? Please.
I would, anybody that can work at a wastewater treatment plant for 30 years needs acknowledgement, because that is a dirty job. And as I was thinking about it, I realized about 15 billion gallons of sewage has gone through that plant in that length of time. And Ron's dealt with most of it. But during that time, not as only has he gone through a lot of different supervisors at the plant and public works directors and city managers and city councils, but during that time he's been a rock down at the plant. He's been very consistent. He is reliable. He's the kind of employee that you want in an organization, and he epitomizes professional attitudes, and he's a professional in everything he does, and we really appreciate all he's done for all those years to really bring stability to the plant. So thank you, Ron.
And Matt, would you like to talk about yourself for 5 minutes?
Matt, haven't you worked for us longer than 10 years?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been, I started in 1978. It's been 24 and a half years, so I have worked for the city for half of my life. I just gave my age away, but yeah, half of my
I think
life.
I had my first swimming lesson from you.
Yes.
Or your group when you worked there.
Most people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s had swimming lessons from me. I'm happy to say. I'm happy to say that. It just makes me feel really old. Thanks, Kelly.
Sorry. I just wanted to give you more recognition than 10 years.
Thank you. And I'm very happy to have given half my life to the city. It's been a great job. I really enjoy it. And I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of good changes, and I'm excited to see what else is on the way. So thank you.
Very good.
Well, I would like to say that in the last couple of years, Matt has been a tremendous asset to the city and a huge reason why we have a brand-new city pool. Without his passion for the pool and his compassion for our residents that use the pool and the kids and their safety, our council may not have had the wherewithal to move forward with such a huge expense. And so I say thank you, not only for your dedication to Crescent City, but to assure that our community has a beautiful pool.
Thank you.
I would echo that. Jane, did you want to say a couple
I was
words?
going to say a few words, but I think you guys captured that.
Okay.
It was a very much pleasure working with Matt in my time here, and he's a very dedicated employee. A lot of things I think we'll be working together on in the future. Almost didn't recognize him tonight. He's not wearing his flip-flops
And shorts.
and shorts, so it's hard to recognize out of uniform. And I do understand you have a session that was full. Talk about it. I'm going next time. Okay. He's going to Disneyland.
And I would just mention that, what was it, a couple weeks ago, the News 3, Channel 3 out of Eureka was up here and did an interview with several of us on different things in the city, and one of them was with Matt at the swimming pool and then showing off the various assets of the pool, and that's to come in the very near future. So I would say keep your eye out. It should be a nice piece on the new pool. Why don't the entire council come down and we'll greet the two employees and present them with their pens.
I love doing that. I love seeing the dedication and commitment to our city from our employees. It's awesome.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on with acknowledgements. I'm delighted that we have a couple, three very important proclamations. And I guess the first one would be for State Assemblyman Chesbro. And Mr. Woolley, would you like to join us at the podium? And the City Council would like to offer this proclamation, a proclamation recognizing the support received from State Assemblyman Wes Chesbro in the aftermath of the March 11th, 2011 tsunami event. And whereas March 11th, 2011, an earthquake in Japan generated a tsunami that hit Crescent City, and whereas the damage sustained to the harbor from the tsunami devastated our fishing fleet, compromising jobs, and whereas during the recovery period, State Assemblyman Wes Chesbro offered support to Crescent City during this difficult time. And now, therefore, the City Council of the Crescent City hereby acknowledges the valuable contribution to our community by State Assemblyman Wes Chesbro and his staff. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Crescent City to be affixed this 21st day of November 2011, Charles Slurt, Mayor. So John is here, Mr. Woolley, the aide field representative
There you go.
for Mr. Chesbro, and we appreciate him coming all the way here from Eureka, especially in this storm.
If
So,
we wait a little longer, might be another disaster, who knows?
so we'd like to present it to you. Thank you.
Sure. Oh, very nice. Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely. And again, to
Appreciate
Sir
it.
Deputized.
All right. Well, Mayor and members of the council, thank you very much. It's a nice honor to get a proclamation like this. Often we get the other side of the coin, as you may know sometimes, but the city has been great to work with, and I've appreciated coming up here on many a time, and I always look forward to it in the future, and also to hear from you again and again. So keep up the good work. I'm glad to be here, and thank you very much from the Assemblyman. I wish he could be here to receive it, but he's with family as we speak, so that's a good thing.
That is,
Appreciate it.
and I would just offer, John, on behalf of the city and the council, I personally appreciate Wes's involvement in our harbor and the recovery thereof. And he's been here several times over the months, and so we greatly appreciate the follow-through. And his participation and leadership actually helped our harbor recover so that we can be functional for crabbing season whenever that is.
Yeah, that's true. And to his staff at the Capitol, they've been banging away on folks to really help out as well. So it's been a good team effort.
Very much so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so at this time, we'd like to offer a proclamation to Congressman Mike Thompson and his field representative, district representative, is here with us, and Mr. John Driscoll. So I would like to offer this proclamation recognizing the support received from Congressman Mike Thompson in the aftermath of the March 11th, 2011 tsunami event, whereas on March 11th, 2011, the earthquake in Japan generated a tsunami that hit Crescent City, and whereas the damage sustained to the harbor from the tsunami devastated our fishing fleet, compromising jobs, and whereas during the recovery period, Congressman Mike Thompson offered support to Crescent City during this difficult time, and now, therefore, the City Council of Crescent City hereby acknowledges the valuable contributions to our community by Congressman Mike Thompson and his staff. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Crescent City to be affixed this 21st day, November 2011, Charles Slurt, Mayor.
Well, Mayor Slurt and members of the board, your disaster happened on my first week on the job, which was quite an amazing thing to really have to deal with. But you know, what was really heartening was the response of the community to the initial disaster. You know, just to know that you know, your people really have incredible amount of preparedness going into these things, and you know, it was really comforting to know that you know, you could count on them at that time. And then you know, after that, the response to you know, recovery was also a really good thing, and you know, the congressman was watching all of that, always putting it, you know, as a major priority, and you know, we have here. You know, I was just down at the harbor a couple hours ago. Great recovery effort, you know, ready in time for crab season, which is not only important to your community but important to the rest of the state as well. So it's just great to see that happen, and the really dedication on part of a lot of folks that came together on this. So thank you very much.
Well, again, thank you for the Congressman's support and your support, John. And any of the members of the council like to address?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you and Congressman Thompson and John Woolley and Assemblyman Chesborough for being here the day after the event. That was pretty amazing that you were able to be here and we all did the tour at the harbor. So that's the kind of support that is heartening for us, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just say that I think the really cool thing about the leadership that your offices provided for us during that time when we were all, very scared as a community, your leadership allowed our practices to be put to work very quickly. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that we realized is that we'd been going through all of these drills, and Cindy Henderson was putting everybody through the hoops, and how to prepare. And there were no roadblocks. We were allowed to put those practices to work and get things done. And I appreciate the legislation that was pushed through to support our harbor. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed it, but the fact that it was had 100% support means a lot to our community. So thank you so much.
We're working on a way to fill that hole, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would also just offer that given all the multiple layers of bureaucracy that can happen and have happened over the last 8 months now, to be able to cut through all of that, the support of the North Coast representatives has been outstanding, and it actually had everything to do with our ultimate success in being ready for this crab season. So,
Well,
again,
thank you very much. I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, John. And I would say, gentlemen, don't feel that you need to sit here through tonight's council meeting, because there's a highway out there, and there's some winter storm action. So, but we greatly appreciate your coming all the way here to participate with us this evening.
Have a safe drive home.
Thank you.
Could stay the night and support our TOT.
At this time, I'd like to ask Representative Scott Feller to step forward. And we have a proclamation here for his boss, recognizing the support received from Senator Doug LaMalfa in the aftermath of the March 11th, 2011 tsunami event. Whereas on March 11th, 2011, an earthquake in Japan generated a tsunami that hit Crescent City, and whereas the damage sustained to the harbor from the tsunami devastated our fishing fleet and compromising jobs. And whereas during the recovery period, Senator Doug LaMalfa offered support to Crescent City during this difficult time, and now therefore the City Council of Crescent City hereby acknowledges the valuable contribution to our community by Senator Doug LaMalfa and his staff. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Crescent City to be affixed this 21st day, November 2011. Charles Thorpe, Mayor. Congratulations and thank you. Thanks for your support as the local district representative.
Thank you. I talked to Doug, to the senator, just a few minutes ago before he came in here. He wanted to make sure that I was here, given the weather and everything else. He was very appreciative of everything you guys have done and the other staff members from the other agencies, because we had to deal with 11 state and federal agencies to get the permitting process through, to make it through this system, and everybody worked as a team. It was rather unique. It didn't matter which side of the aisle you were on. We were here, and we're, through the rest of the staff, able to organize meetings where we had the majority leader for the Senate up here, Senator Corbett, and others to help make sure things happened. So the Senator wants to thank you for that, all your efforts and the hospitality that you guys exhibited all the governing agencies around here. I mean, there was never a roadblock, as it was said, to do that. In addition, the senator wants to make sure I announce that he has the new contest again for the second year in a row of what's a stupid law. Tell it to him, and the winner of that, he'll propose legislation, and they get to have lunch with him and receive a flag that's been flown over the Capitol. As you know, or may not know, we passed 745 laws last year, new laws for the state, and there's a lot of laws out there that are past their prime. And so, can't read them all. We'd like to, offer that up, and just go to his webpage or through me, and we can get up and get you the proper credit. He also would like to, and it's my honor to present to the City Council on behalf of the California State Senate and Senator Doug LaMalfa, a certificate of recognition to the Crescent City City Council for your continuing support of Del Norte County veterans who have served past and present, and celebrating the vision of the community by creating a Point of Honor Veterans Monument Plaza, this the 21st date, November 2011, Senator Doug LaMalfa.
Very nice. Thank you. Great. Thank you so much.
Do we each get to keep it for like 3 months?
Thank you so much. That was an honor to have you all here.
He's taking the opportunity to get out of here.
Out of Dodge.
Okay, at this time, we will address our consent calendar, for which we have 2 items. Would there maybe be a motion for?
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion carries unanimously. So moving to item number 7, we will adjourn the City Council and convene the Crescent City Housing Authority. And Madam Clerk, would you have the record reflect that the Chair and the Directors are present?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And we have public comment for the Crescent City Housing Authority at this time. Is there any public comment?
Could we have that after they present, in case we have a question about it afterwards?
This is regarding the Crescent City Housing Authority, so this is the only time to talk about the Housing Authority. Unless you want to talk about a public comment, the general open public comment.
Did we already have the open general?
No.
So, will we open general comment, or?
But we wouldn't be able to get a response from them.
Well, you wouldn't get a response anyway.
Okay.
Okay. So do you want it to address something regarding the Housing Authority?
Right. There's just one issue that I had a question about, and that was between the Housing Authority and then the next one who's going to speak is the...
Redevelopment Agency?
Yeah, the Redevelopment Agency. It was made mention that as developers developing property, that there were waiting lists before for homes or places to live. And I just wanted to point out that a lot of people, I was wondering how many people have already left or been foreclosed on, and those houses are now available. And the other thing was, I just wanted to make sure that I understood it correctly, that I saw, we were over at Walmart, and is that 80 units behind Walmart, the new project that's going up at the low-income housing? Is that 80 more units?
That's in the county, not in our city. You'd have to address that with the county housing authority. This is city.
There's a county, okay.
Are you referring to HUD participating in those units?
Pardon?
Are you referring to HUD participating in the additional 80 units?
HUD?
HUD.
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 Yes.
Oh, okay. And that was the nature of your question?
Right. Does HUD assist tenants for those houses, and how many units were there? Is what I was wondering.
Okay, so those are questions, so we'll try to get an answer for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. for the Housing Authority, and we have a consent calendar with 4 items.
Move for approval of items 1 through 4.
I'll second that. And I just wanted to say that I really appreciated Director Miller outlining all the, you addressed every issue that I had wondered about, so it was a very thorough report. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion carries unanimously. And we have no housing director's report, and no public hearing, no continuing business, and no new business. So we will adjourn the Crescent City Housing Authority at this time, and our next regular meeting will be scheduled for December 19th. So at this time, we will convene as the Crescent City Redevelopment Agency. And again, Madam Clerk, would you have the record reflect that the chair and the directors are present?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And is there public comment regarding redevelopment agency? Ms. Morrison.
Yes, as I asked you the last time you met about the pesticides at the airport and how they are drifting southeast into the city, and I suggested that perhaps you could talk with the county and the airport people and find out exactly what's happening. When I looked at the report from the toxic.
Now, you know, we're addressing the redevelopment agency.
Right. Well, it's drifting into the houses, and I don't know, into Crescent City, and if this is a Crescent City redevelopment, you should be aware of where it's drifting to, I would think.
Okay, and I would respond that I did check with Mr. Jay Serena at the county, and he's basically reiterated what Mr. Black had explained, that that site was a Superfund site back in, I believe it was the 80s, and it has been fully cleaned up and has been monitored, and the EPA has decided to withdraw monitoring because there was nothing in the monitoring wells. So that's a negotiated settlement, and it's a done deal.
I'm talking about the Department of Toxic Substance, and there was a report due no later than June, and Alex Lee was in charge of the case of the site, and he's been taken off the site, and Chip is now in charge of the case.
Okay, and what I'm telling you is that the county chief or administrative officer has indicated that the site is closed and the monitoring is done.
So the dead people that die, it probably wasn't from that site.
That's right.
Okay, it's good to know.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment regarding Crescent City Redevelopment Agency? Okay, we'll close public comment for the redevelopment agency, and we have a consent calendar of 2 items.
I'll move for approval of consent item number 1 and number 2.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so it passes unanimously. There's no executive director's report this evening. No business items, no public hearing, and no new business. So we will adjourn the Crescent City Redevelopment Agency until December 19th, the next meeting, 2011 at 6 p.m. So at this time, we will reconvene as the Crescent City City Council. Okay, so we have no public hearings. We have a report, item number 9A, to receive tonight from the Chamber of Commerce and Ms. Gina Zatola. Welcome, Gina.
I almost thought you were going to mispronounce my last name there for a second. Thank you, Mayor Slurt, council members. Thanks for having me for my quarterly report. Again, I go through the physical count of people actually walking through the doors at the Visitor Center. In July, we were up about almost 30% with 4,300. A little over 4,300 people came in for information. In August, we were down about 9.5%. We had about 3,690 people came in versus the following year, which was 4,085. In September, we were down another 9% for a total of 2,287 people. Gave us an average for that quarter as being up 3.66%. Visitor packets, total mailed out in July was down 33.64%. In August, it was up 48.21%. And in September, it was down 8.20%. So down about 12, almost 13%. Relocation packets. Relocation packets are interesting because I think that the information can be a little bit skewed. And why I say that is we get a lot of people from the hospital that are locums that come in and want relocation packets, and we give several out for that. So I don't see that all of those people actually have relocated to Delaware County. So I just want to make that clear that it's information that goes out. Hopefully they'll stay, but a lot of that goes to Sutter Coast Hospital. And also it does go out to Pelican Bay State Prison for the employees. In July, we're up about 23, almost 24% for a total of 21 packets. In August, we were up 9%. In September, we are up 288% for a total of 35 packets for an average of being up almost 84%.
So what happens in September? 200 and
200, yeah, we mailed out 35 packets versus 9. Well, again, it's not, we didn't necessarily mail all 35 packets out. It could have been that Pelican Bay needed 12 of those packets. They had people coming through, whether it's correctional officers or other employees coming that have moved to the area and taken a new job. Again, and same with Sutter Coast. Those are our biggest clients as far as relocation packets go. So that's where a lot of them are going to. As you know, I haven't seen you since Sea Cruise. We had a good Sea Cruise event, I think, and really collaborated with our partners, the city and the Crescent City Car Club. As far as our room availability and occupancy goes, we are down about 4.73% from last year. We are up in cars. We had 335 cars registered compared to 285 cars registered last year. I will say that last year, as you remember, it was raining, it was misty, and a lot of the locals always wait until the last day or that morning to register, depending on the weather. This year we had great weather the day of, we knew it, and I think that that's where we got a lot of our bump. So, some things coming up I want to remind you of is our annual dinner, which is going to be on Saturday, January 21st, and we invite all the council, and we hope you can make it. And do you all have any questions for me?
Please, Ms. Shalom.
Just wanting to know if you have any food for thought on the future of Sea Cruise, and also if your board has considered looking at the Knoll Longboard Classic.
As far as Sea Cruise goes, it will continue. We will be partnering with another car club, and the chamber sees the importance of that event. It's not necessarily a huge moneymaker for the chamber, putting a ton of money in our coffers. As you know, being on the board, that we do this event to actually bring people into town to spend their dollars and to fill the hotel rooms. So we see the importance of that, and this board will continue to support that. As far as the Knoll Longboard Classic goes, I don't want to speak for the entire board. It has been briefly discussed, but we don't feel it's even feasible for us. It takes about 100 volunteers for the chamber the weekend before the event to take on another event with such magnitude.
The Sea Cruise being...
The Knoll Longboard, yeah, because the Sea Cruise is the following weekend, and we don't see how it's feasibly possible to do it. So that's where that discussion has been thus far with our board. Have I left anything out on that, Catherine?
I think you're right.
Would you consider if there was a group of people that were willing to run the event to be the financial, place where everything took place?
I'm going to do whatever my board advises me to do. I think that's a great discussion to bring forward to the board. That's not for me to say. That would be, but I think that's a great idea, and I think that you would be wonderful, heading up all those volunteers like you do. But, I think that would be a presentation that I suggest you make to the board. And it could be at the next board meeting if you would like, and that's something that I think would have to be discussed.
You have a group in mind?
I just hate to see the event go away, number
I agree.
one. It is a huge benefit to our community and a great family event. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that want to volunteer to make it happen, but you can't really do that if you don't have a hub.
Right.
So-
And I think that's a great point. And I know that that's basically how Sea Cruise started for the chamber, is they became the hub for that, being the body that would pay all the bills and sort of did administrative tasks such as we do now, and a greater portion of that. But I think it's a great idea. If I could actually, cut myself into lots of little pieces, I'd be willing to say that, yeah, I could help out with that. But unfortunately, there's not quite enough for me to go around. So that would
I
be something
understand.
that has to be taken up with the board, and I think it's a great idea.
But we have discussed
Yeah.
that, and it didn't seem very feasible with the sea
No.
cruise right behind it.
Any other questions, clarifications of Gina? Okay, Gina,
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks so
Hard work.
much.
thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Drive safe.
Okay, at this time, we're going to have a report, item 9B, and receive a presentation from the Del Norte Humboldt Film Commission. And I believe Cassandra, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Do we have that? Okay. I have a PowerPoint presentation for you that I'll be going over. Would you send it? I didn't get sent them. Do you have the papers in front of you? Okay. That's okay. All right, well, luckily I have one too. So I know what you're looking at.
What happened?
I guess I sent the PowerPoint, but somehow, I sent it last week, somehow it didn't make it here. So, yeah, so you guys have the...
We're sorry.
That's okay, things happen, right? So, first of all, thank you for having me here. And I'm Cassandra. I'm the film commissioner for Del Norte and for Humboldt County. And I've been the film commissioner for Humboldt for a year, and now for Del Norte for a couple months now, since July. And I wanted to let you know a few things. If you guys go to, assuming we're all on page 2, where it says Film Del Norte, there's 3 bullets there. Are we all on that page? Okay, great. So it starts off with basically a little bit of the history, in case any of you don't know that. Then spring of 2011, the Tri-Agency approved the Film Commission to officially represent the county. The Visitor Bureau signed a contract with us for the year, and then in July of 2011 also as well, the California Film Commission accepted us and recognized us as the official, or as Film Del Norte, as the official film commissioner for Del Norte in the state of California. So that was good. We did all our proper paperwork. So what does a film commissioner do? We are a liaison between filmmakers and the county. So basically, we help them when they first come to a county and they might not know the area. Most of them are, out of big towns or big cities such as LA or San Francisco, or maybe someplace like Canada or even Japan, and they don't know the area. So they want to know locations, they want to know restaurants, they want to know hotel accommodations, they want to know permits, all of those kind of things. I'd go to Gina for the permits around here. And I'm to help them with all of those things for free. That's every film commissioner in the state of California does it that way. And I also help promote the area for filming, which is obviously the best thing. Not only do I help them when they want to come here and make it easier for them, but I also promote it to the different areas that you guys exist. And the last thing I do predominantly is I foster the vendors that are here. I help them learn how to be a film-friendly vendor so that when filmmakers do come to the area that they can go to an accommodation that works for them, that they can hire a caterer that might work at night, that they can find security that'll come and watch their equipment, things like that. So if you turn to the next page, it says print, commercials, and film. So this kind of gives you, this is based on probably numbers in a bigger town, especially when they rent the equipment, like all their camera equipment and everything inside that town. So it's a little bit maybe inflated. I have to be careful with my numbers. But according to AFCI, which is the International Film Commission Group, on average, a reality TV show spends $7,500 a day. Okay, and then you can go to print ads, you see 15,000, commercials are 25, and feature films spend about 125,000 a day. And that's direct dollars of when they're spending. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of the kind of money that can come in. And it does vary, like I said, and it depends on the shoot. Not all of them are like that, but that's an average number that they've come up with. So the money goes in if you go to direct return on investment, investment being on what you guys are putting out to hire a film commissioner, bringing in film crews. Most of that money that they spend per day goes to the hotel and accommodations, travel, location costs, car rental, lumber, hardware supplies, office supplies, security, police, like all the direct costs that it would cost for them to actually film here. And some of the smaller productions don't have like security, don't have an office, don't have some of those things. That's why some of these numbers are not necessarily accurate. Depends on each group that comes in. The next page that is indirect return on investment shows you also some of the things that they might be spending on that's in addition, and this will be important in a second when you see some of our numbers. So spending by the cast and crew when they come to the area, meals and entertainment, extra gas and transportation, gifts. They're notorious for coming to the areas and buying gifts. So those are kind of like how the average dollar, what they kind of spend direct dollars on and what they spend indirect dollars on. So how does that affect us? What's been going on in the 3 months that we've been here? Filming activity. So in the past few months, I've had the pleasure of submitting you guys, Del Norte, for a John Deere ATV commercial, National Geographic documentary, FedEx commercial, Marvel Studios feature film, indie feature film, and a Boar's Head ham commercial. And that's just in this small amount of time. This small amount of time, too, this window is starting to get into the winter window, so a lot of the filming is actually starting to slow down. Spring is when we really see it ramping up. You know, I might get 20 inquiries in a week, where I might get 20 in a month during a weather month. So that was pretty decent to be able to, showing these people that you guys even exist was great, because these are people who are also reoccurring commercial people who are going to think of you next time if they don't pick you for this time. We also scouted up here a couple months ago. I brought up a location manager for a major feature for Sony Pictures. He checked the area out and definitely liked it. At this time, he is going to hold on to it. And Animal Planet also scouted the area. And then we had a Discovery Channel movie come up and film, actually, in the summer as well. And one thing I did not add on here was we do have a teen book that is the major portion of the book is written, takes place in Crescent City. I did talk to the director myself, and he did say that once funding's secure and that they're in production, that they will be filming the whole movie here. So that's exciting. We just have to hear from him when that's going to happen. So if you flip to the next page, current revenue, it says direct. So approximately with the one shoot that did film here, which was small, it was a Discovery Channel movie, but it was just a couple-day shoot. It was a portion of a movie, and it had just a couple people. It was about 4 from England. They spent about $5,000 just in food, gas, and hotel. So there's, and analysts have figured out in the past 10 years that basically when they come and they spend their direct dollars of $5,000, how do you then find out what the indirect value is? And they've times that by $2.95. So $2.95, if you multiply that of your direct spending, then that gives us about $15,000 that has been spent approximately into the community already from one shoot. So how are we marketing the area? How are we going to continue to bring in those dollars and continue to show the area off for future filming? This year, my main goal is to continue to market the areas, to really get the word out there, because it's great and lovely as many films or any type of shoots that we could get to come into the area during this year, but this year is going to really lay the foundation for the years to come. So marketing, obviously, the California Film Commission, that's what the CFC stands for, and FLICS, which is the Film Liaison in California locations, which is a membership group that I'm part of, has announced both regions to all the location managers and the different directors and people that are accessing their directories. They've also, or I also have created a Film Del Norte website, which has now been officially launched, and I would love for all of you to check out. It has locations, and it'll have many more locations to come that are on there that are beautiful locations that are great for people to see and to really get an idea of what you guys have to offer here. We also will be launching a newsletter, a monthly newsletter starting in January that will be going out to over 500 location managers and directors that are current this year who've contacted me, that I've been in contact with, that are shooting either commercials or film or independent film or TV. And this newsletter once a month will feature Del Norte as well as Humboldt, and it will have a theme to it. So for instance, maybe one month will be lighthouses, and obviously we can feature all of those aspects to it. And every month it'll really show off the locations, because that's mostly what, obviously, why people would travel here is for the locations. So that's the main goal of the newsletters, to really show what you have to offer here. The fourth thing that we really want to do, and this might be in tangent with Humboldt County, to have both economic developments come together, is to have a FAM tour where we bring up professionals in the industry, and we might bring up 5, some areas bring up like 10, and they basically put them in a van and show them the areas so that they could see it for themselves. You pay for their flight, their hotel, their food, their lodging, and for a weekend they see what the area really is for themselves, because it's different seeing a redwood in person than it is seeing it in a picture, or the beaches here, or the lighthouses here, any of those things. So that would be something that would happen in the future, that I would really love to do, because I think that that would make a huge impact. Then they go home and talk to other people. Have you been up there? It'd be great. And then they think about it. If not this project, the next project. What has been fabulous in Humboldt, and as well as I'm assuming will happen here as well, as I get to know a lot of the people that come up here to shoot commercials, is once they've shot one, they want to come back and shoot another. So feature films are a little hard, because that has to really fit the concept of the feature film. But a commercial, they try to use this area as much as they can to advertise every time they can, because a lot of the photographers just like coming up here. So that's what's fabulous, is that the more people we expose to the area, I think the more people who will fall in love with it and just want to bring their jobs up here. So the next slide is, or piece of paper, is 17th Annual COLA Award Show, which I attended in October of this year. And what this is a ceremony that salutes the local professionals, production companies, and public employees for their professional excellence working as in location in the state of California. So it's everybody from state park people to location managers to location teams, and it had, when I attended it, it was everything from indie, low budget to big shoots such as I'm blanking out on the TV show. What's the one where, okay, pop quiz. What's the one where the doctor's really, he's grumpy and he's got the house? Thank you. Okay. Good, you win.
Sounds like.
Yeah, sounds like. Mouse. No. We have the location manager, actually, the assistant location manager actually lives in McKinleyville, which is pretty cool. And she loves this area up here. And so their TV show was, it's everything from those kind of TV shows to Moneyball, Brad Pitt's latest movie. So it was exciting because I did get to put together a basket, a gift. Not every film commissioner, a handful of film commissioners put together a gift basket to give away to every award winner. And so the basket was Del Norte/Humboldt. And so Gina helped me with some Del Norte items, and it was fabulous. And the person who actually ended up winning our basket was the location professional of the year. So that was exciting. It was the highest honor. His name is Todd Christensen, and he was the location manager for Brad Pitt's movie Moneyball. So that's who now has a Del Norte sweatshirt or two, and a whole bunch of little tchotchke things, and it was great. So he's been exposed already. So the last paper that you'll have there is community involvement. And basically, so now that I've told you basically who I am and what I do and what's been going on in the past 3 months that I've been here, what's next? How can the community become involved? And this is actually one of the most important parts that I had to do this winter. I need to fill the new website that I have created with our production resource, with vendors and crew that are from this area. Because one thing that happens is when productions do want to shoot up here, they look for the resources. Okay, I have the location, what else do I have? Can I get there? How long is it going to take me to get there? Who's there once I'm there? You know, what hotels, what kind of accommodations, what kind of restaurants? And so I do have an article that will be going out in the triplicate that will be asking the people in the community to please sign up as crew and vendor if it's appropriate for them to do so. So vendors, of course, would be something like restaurants or hotels or car rentals or security or even trash pickup. There's a whole list on there people can see to see if they actually qualify for any of those categories. And if they feel that there's a category missing, I'm totally open to suggestions, and I take emails for that. There's also a list of crews if people want to see what kind of crew could they be. If they already have skills as an editor or as a director, you never know who we have in the area. Like I said, we have the location manager of House, or assistant location manager of House in McKinleyville. You never know who might be living in this area. But also, there's just things like production assistant. Anybody who wants to be working as a production assistant might know the area very well, who would be able to hop in a car and go grab something at the local Kmart for the crew whenever they need it, something like that. So we need lots of the community to sign up as vendors and crew on our website under production resources, a production guide, and people can register there. It's free, so I encourage everyone to do so. Also, the other thing that the community can do is they can become a fan on Facebook. We do have a Facebook page, Film, and it's actually 3 words, Film, Del, and Nort. And that would be great because then you can be updated on little things that are going on. I pop things up there all the time of what's been going on with the Film Commission. And people can join Twitter as well and find out just what I'm thinking. Not that you always want to know. But, so that is what's been going on with the Film Commission. Can I answer any questions?
Yes, I have a few. Can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay. In the same period, how much film business took place in Humboldt in the last year?
In the last year?
Yeah.
Well, that's not the same period as what I just showed you, because what I just showed you was this past 3 months. So I actually don't have any of that in front of me right now to be able to compare those numbers with you. The thing is Humboldt's been established for 25 years.
Right.
It's had lots of big movies and lots of commercials. So it's going to have its own different, basis to start from. I personally wouldn't compare. I think that it's better to compare maybe you guys to a more rural area that is maybe newer, and I could find something like that to compare you guys to. But I think what's lovely is I'm trying to make you guys sister counties. So by doing that, when someone calls up for Humboldt and may not know about Del Norte, I then suggest, have you thought about Del Norte? A lot of times I'll submit Del Norte in addition, when they call just for Humboldt. So, and the other thing I've done also is on the Humboldt website, there's a little button that you can click to go check out the Del Norte website, which is really nice as well. So it's constantly bringing the Del Norte part into it. So that's, I think what's great is making it symbiotic versus comparing the two. But I don't have those numbers in front of me, I apologize.
Are you aware of any place that can rent equipment locally in Del Norte County?
I'm not aware of that yet. If somebody does know that, that would be great. The couple times I've been up here, I've checked out locations, and I've checked out restaurants, and I've checked out hotels. But I haven't met crew people or any type of equipment rental. So if anybody does know of that, that'd be great.
Okay, if an independent filmmaker comes up, would they be required to go through your commission?
No one's ever required. They don't have to, but they are required to get permits depending on where they want to film. So a lot of times they will look for film commissioner's help. Sometimes they don't realize in a rural area that there is a film commissioner. When Carson Kressley came to Eureka, they were very surprised, to find out there was a film commissioner in Humboldt. So it just depends if they are aware that we exist, and if they are smart enough to Google it and find out, it's great, and then they can. And then we can give them help. But yeah, they're not required. I'm required, though, by law to the State of California Film Commission to turn in all the numbers. So I always appreciate when they do contact me so I can find out who has filmed in the area.
Okay, because the reason I brought that up is a lot of indie makers are operating on a shoestring budget versus some of the bigger houses that have like a minimum $5 million on up. So I was wondering if they're required to get permits, do they have to pay? Because oftentimes indie filmmakers rely on free locations. So I just want to know what the procedure would be.
Well, basically, procedurally, that's up to every location. and whoever governs that location with permits. So if a county, or it depends on who governs it, so if a county governs it, or if a city governs it, or whoever governs it, whatever rules that they have, if they have a scale that is based on what type of production it is, like SAG does, which is the Union for Actors, they base it based on what type of production and amount of money, then that would be the case. Most of the time, most different jurisdictions base it just on one flat rate, and they might have just a flat fee or a daily fee, or sometimes no fee. And so the independent filmmaker would just choose their location based on what they could afford. So that's why, obviously, in this times, I do always encourage, let's make it as easy possible to get them to come here, to think about the permit fees versus being able, if we can get them to come and they maybe don't pay for a permit fee, but they do the TOTs because they're staying in our hotels, then great. So, yeah, they are required to get a permit. It depends on where it is, but specifically, like in cities, you're required, any public locations. Traditionally, in rural areas, residents are not normally required, but it just depends on the county, too. Each one can be a little bit different. So we're still processing all the permits and how the cities and the county is going to do it. But Gina and Jay and I have been working on that.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions from the council?
I just have one. So what's the website address?
Sorry, that's filmdelnorte.org, and that's all obviously one word.
Okay, great, thanks. And the first word is lowercase?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, and we actually do have a unique branding spelling of Film Del Norte. When it's not the website or something like that, when it is a title, it is Film all lowercase, Del Norte all uppercase, and it mimics some of the other film commissions are doing something similar to that.
Thanks for coming up.
Yeah, thank you.
I
for
had
having
two
me.
quick things.
Sure, of course.
One was in your AFCI averages. Are you, with your experience, starting to track maybe more realistic numbers for counties like Del Norte and Humboldt?
Am I able to do that? Is that what you're saying? That's what I'm trying to do. I mean, it's hard. What I try to do is I try to get the numbers from them. Sometimes they're really great about it. Other times they're not. Yeah. And so what I do is I then find out how many crew did you really have come versus what AFCI might have projected. How much equipment did you bring from out of the area that you didn't rent here? So I try to make the numbers appropriate to that. And that's really helpful. It was really helpful because the woman who came from England with the group for the shoot that was here answered my question. But a lot of times they're willing to answer questions before they get here, but once they're done and they leave, you don't always know if you're going to get answers. And sometimes I have to get them on the phone several times can you tell me those numbers?
So I guess my follow-up question then is, do you have those numbers maybe with your experience in Humboldt, what the averages are in Humboldt County versus nationally?
No, because they're they're different compared to if it was, because it wouldn't be the same thing as having, like, for instance, when it says let's pick a category here.
Well, let's just say
reality TV show.
Commercials.
Or commercials.
If you have 20 commercials filmed in Humboldt County during the year, if you track those numbers.
Well, it just depends on each one.
Average.
Yeah, we haven't come up with an average because they're also unique. So, for instance, one year we had Goodyear Tire, and they did spend about $25,000 a day. So that was unique to have them, where you might have another commercial that sends 2 or 3 guys, and they might spend $4,000 or $5,000 for the day.
Right.
And it's just completely a different thing. So we could average them, but they're almost like different. It's like saying going to McDonald's versus going to a sit-down restaurant.
Right.
It's not. They're just not the same. So I try to price them out based on all the information I can collect from the person and give a fair price of what I think it's worked out to, if the numbers don't directly come from them.
Great. And then I was just going to say maybe the city could address permitting issues, because I don't think we've ever done that before.
Yeah, we have some sections in our code that address filming, and I'll be working with Gina and Cassandra on that over the winter time here.
Yeah, we've had several meetings and we've been working on it. And Gina has also been working on drafting a film permit as well as a film application. And so we've been passing that around and checking that out the past couple of months.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very,
of course.
very exciting news.
Yeah, thank you. Want to make sure you guys are ready for when someone comes to pull a permit.
And although you referred to it as Film Del Norte, you're also Film Crescent City, right?
Well, predominantly, that's what is Del Norte, is Crescent City. Most of the filmable area is Crescent City, you know, and as well as the, you know, the forest surrounding it. I mean, more than likely, what someone, when they come up here, they want to be close to the restaurants, to the hotels, and if they go to the forest, it's just going to be a little bit in, you know, so, yeah, it practically is.
Maybe if you give her a pin.
How long are the restaurants?
Very. People got to eat.
I would also offer that I've seen the good work you've done down in Humboldt through Humboldt Access TV.
Oh, thank you.
And that it's growing down there, and I think it's going to be very positive here. I think it's a good partnership with Del Norte and Humboldt, and a good effort on the part of our local visitor bureau to make that commitment. So
thank you.
I think it's very positive. Any other questions, clarifications?
Have a safe drive
Okay.
home.
Thank you. Yeah, back to Arcata.
Thanks, Cassandra. Okay. All right, at this time, we will have communications, public comment period. And any member of the audience is invited to address the City Council on any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the City of Crescent City. Comments of public interest or on matters appearing on the agenda are accepted. Note, however, the council is not able to undertake extended discussion or act on non-agendized items. Such items can be referred to staff for appropriate action, which may include placement on a future agenda. Any comments that are not at the microphone are out of order and will not be part of the public record. After receiving recognition from the mayor, please state your name and city or county residency for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Is there public comment at this time? Ms. Morrison.
I was surprised to see all the trees that came down from, was that part of the landing, tsunami landing contract, was to take down all the trees?
Actually, it had to do with liabilities at the sidewalks and the curbs because of the roots uplifting the sidewalks and the curbs and creating trip hazards.
I saw a lot of trees that were taken down that weren't by sidewalks.
There's a big scheme that's happening relative to Front Street redesign, and there's been several workshops on it, and it's all part and parcel with that.
When was the last workshop, please?
I don't remember offhand.
A year ago, maybe?
No, I don't think so. You have other comments or questions?
Yeah, when you had your joint meeting with the city council and the supervisors, you had talked about perhaps including the public in some of your discussions and designs and things. And I was wondering how that was coming. Have you pursued that any further about having the public be able to have a town hall meeting maybe, or ask questions about what's going on in their city?
Regarding
their city, the environment, the restaurants, the fluoride issue, how the jobs, the health.
I don't think there's any town hall meeting scheduled at this time. Mr. Palazzo is putting together his strategic plan. There will be a public process.
I think I've been to one since I lived here 5 years and feel pretty worthless here. You're worth less than 4 minutes of people's time. You get 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there other public comment?
Hi,
Your
Mary
name?
McGinnis. And although I feel like I'm a resident of Crescent City, I'm not, because I live in Seawood Apartments. So she actually brought up a point that I was wondering about, and I was wondering, what is the proper procedure to go through to request a town hall meeting? I work at the prison, and several of my coworkers have said, well, how do you even get your voice heard? How do you go about asking questions? And I said, yeah, I don't know. I think you have to write them down, and they have to respond. I don't know. So I'm wondering, how do we go about getting a town hall meeting? Because several of the officers and nurses that I work with are very interested in what's going on with what we feel is our city, even though we're not within the very microscopic city limits.
I would refer you to Mr. Palazzo, our city manager.
Be happy to speak with anybody. You can give me a call. I'll give you my business card.
Do you have one? Or great. Thank you, Mayor, appreciate it.
Thank you.
To get questions, was I correct to get questions answered by the council regarding the city, such as what happened to the old growth redwood at the landing? Why do we have pine benches instead of the wonderful old growth redwood that could have been refurbished and replaced there? I'm just...
I would say that those would go through Mr. Palazzo's office.
So you're the man.
Questions, I'll get you some answers.
Thank you. The main one that I'm supposed to ask for my coworkers is how do we get a town hall meeting?
Very good.
So please consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Is
you
there
for your
other
time.
public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we'll move to continuing business, item number 10, and we will consider waive full the reading and read by title only and introduce ordinance number 761, an ordinance of the City of Crescent City adding chapter 8.20, shopping carts, to title 8 of the Crescent City Municipal Code. And I think Mr. Taylor?
Yep. So, as you already alluded to, this is an ordinance for shopping carts. Obviously, shopping carts have been a significant blight in our community for many years now. Basically, this ordinance is an action to try to combat some of that blight. And I'm just going to read a little bit just from the introduction here, and kind of the purpose of the ordinance. Abandoned shopping carts constitute a nuisance, create potential hazards to the health and safety of the public, and interfere with pedestrian and vehicular traffic within the city of Crescent City. And wreck, dismantled, and abandoned shopping carts on public and private property create conditions that reduce property values and promote blight and deterioration within the city's neighborhoods. I guess anybody who goes around town, you can notice there's definitely an issue with shopping carts strewn throughout the city. It creates pedestrian hazards, it creates hazards for vehicular traffic, and it's also not fair to other businesses who have to have these carts abandoned out in front of their properties. So we're introducing the ordinance. I'll entertain any questions that anybody has about the ordinance. Just some of the main points of the ordinance: require signage on carts, identifying who the cart owners, letting the public know that it's against law to take the carts and you can't be fined. Also, as we brought this the first time, if you remember, Chief Plack had some concerns about the ordinance that was written then being too onerous on the city and putting all the responsibility on us for actually enforcing the ordinance, basically, and rightly so. So we went back and looked at it, and we re-added the section in here. It basically requires cart owners to come up with a cart prevention plan.
Cart prevention plan?
Removal prevention plan. So basically, they come up with a plan how they're going to prevent people from taking the carts off premises. Basically, makes them more proactive rather than reactive than just going out and trying to collect the carts. And I guess a good example is Safeway. They've already come up with the system that they've already put out and successfully implemented on their carts. Basically, they lock up and prevent you from taking them off premises. And obviously, this problem isn't unique to us as a city. This basically comes out of the Business Professional Code, and it basically in the code it says this is an issue of statewide significance. Many jurisdictions have gone through this already. So we finally just bringing this to the forefront for us. And many jurisdictions have basically adopted a code similar to the code we've introduced here tonight. And just give you a little further background. I encourage you to maybe talk with Chief Black and his history with dealing with the shopping carts. I know he's dealt with cart owners. His VIPs go around about one day a week and count the carts. They actually bring me in the little tallies. And I'd say on average, on any given day, there's at least 10 carts out there. Some days more, some days a little less. But and I guess in their dealing with trying to get some of these carts removed, sometimes I guess some of the owners are slow to react to collecting the carts. So hence, this is the need for the ordinance, is to give us a little more teeth and some tools for enforcing this and hopefully clean up this blight. It's a quality of life issue. It goes all the way through the image for the city, the image that people feel when they come through here as far as tourists are concerned, potential business owners that want to come here and relocate. When you're coming through town, what's the image that we're presenting?
Well, I definitely see a need for it. I have called certain stores when I see the shopping cart, in the neighborhood, like for 2 or 3 days, and they don't respond, and it's, you know, it does look terrible. And what I don't understand is why people want to take them in the first place, because they're not that easy to drive. My sister and I found that out when I was in Minnesota last week, trying to get something from IKEA over to a different parking lot, and it was not easy to push. So I don't know why they like to take them off the premises, but I think there's a great need, and I appreciate all the effort that was gone into the ordinance. So thank you.
Any questions or clarifications?
I saw in there that there are some punitive things, that the cart owners can be charged with a misdemeanor, and when people do take shopping carts out, it usually means that they don't have another means, you know, maybe not a car to transport their groceries, and so I like the verbiage that has it be the responsibility of the cart owners, but what we're concerned with is people have said, oh, all right, finally. Will the consumers have to pay at the checkout stand? So I don't want to see it become punitive towards anybody. Yes, I would like to see blight cleared up, but on the other hand, are we creating something else that's going to cost people more in the end result? So that's all I have to say.
And I guess my response would be basically the fines and punitive stuff is actually laid out in the business professional code already for the state. And if you look, it really lays out. I mean, you have to notice, you give them they are allowed 3 days to come get the carts. Or if we collect the cart, we have to notify them within 24 hours where the cart is and give them the time to get the cart. I mean, so it's not like you're just running around writing citations. And I believe the $50 fine's only for 3 violations within 6 months.
And the fine goes to the store?
Right, it would be the owners.
Okay. So what happens to the person that's driving the cart down North Crest Drive?
They can be fined a minimum of $100 fine, basically,
But there is
if it's stolen.
there is a provision that they can get permission.
Correct.
To take.
If you have the need and the owner wants to give you the permission to take the cart, there is an exception in there. But it's also prevent theft of the carts for the businesses. I mean, you talk about the cost. What's the cost in all these carts? I mean, I was told by one owner that they're about $160 a piece for the carts. I mean, that's a significant cost if you're losing quite a few carts.
So my couple questions were, how are we going to educate?
Who?
Everybody.
Sure, and that's how it's built in here. Basically, it requires a signage to be posted at the entrances of the buildings. Part of the plan also, and Safeway did this, is to hand out flyers when they're first enacting these plans to educate people as they're coming through the checkout lines. Or it could be flyers, it could be signage, and there's other ways of getting the word out there.
Okay. And I think the biggest problem that I see are usually people that don't have transportation, and they're carrying their recycling, or they're carrying, some people actually carry their groceries. Sometimes they just carry their junk in it, you know, and they're just pushing it down the road. I drove by Jalindra the other morning, and there must have been 25 carts sitting out in front of his business. And that's, I mean, it's blocking his business. So, you know, he may be somebody you want to talk to about how he's dealing with that.
Certainly, and we're not here to try and find people. That's not our goal. Our goal is to get compliance and try to deal with the problem. So obviously, we'll work the best we can to work with people to solve the problem. That's what we're here for.
So how does someone, if they get permission, are they given a permission slip?
Basically, maybe get some notification or maybe a card that the business might have just saying that this person has permission to use the card.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, clarifications? Okay, is there public comment on this issue? Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll bring it back to the council. I would just offer that it seems like it's been an increasing problem of the carts around the city, and it does result in blight. And perfect world, everybody would take responsibility for their use of the carts and return them accordingly. Unfortunately, citizens don't do that always. And so, unfortunately, the burden has to be put on, in this case, onto the retailer to help manage their property and keep it keep it in tow. So I think it's been a few months since we had visited this, and I think it's timely and good to bring it back to this council.
Well said.
Is there a motion?
I move to introduce the first reading and waive full reading by title only ordinance number 761 for the City of Crescent City, adding Chapter 8.20 shopping carts to Title 8 of the Crescent City Municipal Code.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you pull the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Westfall?
No.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Ania?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Murray?
Yes.
And Mayor Slurt?
Yes. So the motion carries 4-1. Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will look at new business, and item number 11 is to consider and approve an agreement with Hambro for the hauling and disposal of wastewater treatment plant sludge. And Mr. Ware.
Good evening, Mayor Slurt, members of the City Council. Yes, on June 6th of 2011, the council authorized staff to go out to request RFPs for the hauling and disposal of the wastewater treatment plant sludge. We received 2 proposals, one from Hambro WSG and one from Recology. We put together a team of city staff, as well as I'd like to also thank Mike Young as being part of that team as well, to evaluate the proposals. We interviewed both companies. Both companies have extensive experience in the collection and transportation business. However, based upon the cost effectiveness, the service level, experience, and dependability, we're recommending tonight that the council approve a 10-year contract with Hambro WSG. In reviewing Hambro's proposal, they had several strengths, one of which is stability in the third-party agreement. Both proposals included a third party to be involved. Hambro's is with Snoozy Shavings to be the transport company. So Snoozy Shavings has an extensive history, as well as experience, as well as the fleet to meet our demands. Hambro is currently the party that runs the transfer station, as well as they have an agreement with Dry Creek Landfill, which is where the sludge will be disposed at. This is a long-term agreement that they have with Dry Creek, and a very stable one. Their accounting and their way that they would invoice the city with certified scales was very impressive. And then, the cost factor as well. Hambro's would represent a savings of approximately $40,000 a year to the city. So they also have a very innovative approach, which I'd like to direct your attention to 5.02 in the contract. That's the cost savings clause. Hambro's has been very innovative in the past. They've created an eco store. They have eco nutrients department where they've taken a waste product in the past and turned it into a viable product. So we feel that there is very much a potential of utilizing this clause in the future, although we're not to that point now. They're a company that looks for that type of approach. So with that, I'd like to thank both companies for their proposals. Both are here tonight. Hambro's here as well as Recology. So I'd like to kick it back to the council if there's any questions.
Are there questions, council?
Yes.
Ms. Westphal.
Is a 10-year contract a normal time period for this type of contract?
Yes, that was discussed, and we believe with this type of contract that takes the purchasing of equipment, it takes that length of contract to be able to amortize it out such that it can be cost effective.
Are the outs to the contract, are there any outs to the contract if the city is unhappy or?
Yes,
work out?
Yes, if they are not performing, then there is an out on either side. If we're not performing, they have the out. If they're not performing to what the contract states, then we have the out.
Okay.
My question was just Mr. Palazzo as to whether or not you've had Mr. Black review the contracts.
Yes, I've reviewed them, and our attorney's office has reviewed them. Ms. Black and Martha Rice reviewing the contract.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have a quick question.
Please.
Refresh my memory on the sludge now. Who was doing it before?
Currently, Recology is performing the service
Okay.
through Curry Transfer.
Okay, so then the rates went up, that's why we were going out for bid?
Yes, in the previous franchise agreement, the rates were around $85 per ton. With the current franchise agreement that went into effect July 1st, they went to $150 a ton.
And the reason that the city is able to do this is because within the franchise agreement, the product of sludge is the only product that is not controlled by the franchise.
Yeah, okay. Is that-
So a question I have is, if it was $85 a ton previously, and it was, I guess that'd be pre-July 1?
Correct.
And then post-July 1, it was $150 a ton?
That's correct.
Okay, so something happened to affect that kind of differential, from $85 a ton to $150 a ton?
I can answer that.
Ms. Long, do you want to answer?
Sure. It's the same answer that we've been telling people for the past 9 months to a year. When Recology, or previously Delnor Disposal, entered into contract with the Solid Waste Management Authority, that was done 15 years ago. So when they entered their 12-year contract with the Solid Waste Authority, which was extended a couple years, they aren't allowed to charge any more from day one as they can day 12 years later, except for CPI, unless the authority asks them to provide additional services or change the service. And Tommy can correct me if I'm wrong. And so when Tommy goes into Recology goes into a contract with the Solid Waste Authority for $85 a ton back in 1995 or whatever, 96, then you go and you negotiate a new contract in 2011. Today's costs are much different than what they were in 1996. So that's the same answer for his cost increases for regular garbage rates. When he entered into negotiations with the Delnor Solid Waste Management Authority in 1996 to pick up your trash at your curbside, you were, I don't know what the beginning rate was because I wasn't here then, but the only increases you saw over that 15-year contract was CPI. Very small increases. So Recology then renegotiates 15 years later, and they charge market rate for what their costs are, plus, you know, what a company needs to. Sure. I mean, that's the mayor, but I'm answering the mayor's question, so.
When we began hauling the sludge, which was 10 years ago, that's when the landfill was getting ready, or anyway, preparing for closure. That negotiations was between me and Curry County. The CPI increases applied only to whatever that number was. There has not been a disposal increase for the city in 10 years. Disposal increases happen to everybody else, even you, Kelly. I mean, it happened to everybody that we took garbage to the transfer station to. It didn't happen to these guys. And at $85 a ton or $86 a ton, that's what we were stuck at. And that's whoever gets this contract tonight, they're stuck at the same freaking thing. That's it. Goodbye.
Thank you, Tommy.
That's basically what I was saying. It was negotiated 15 years ago, and he apparently, other than CPI, that rate has never changed. I mean, that's
And
just,
that's similar
the
to this.
reason, yeah.
That's
The
similar
cost
to
is
this
gone.
contract that's before you tonight. The Recology proposal was at $150 a ton. Ambrose proposal is at $114.75. As we worked out the CPI clause, Ambrose agreed to an 85% of the CPI that will be applied. And the CPI is supposed to reflect the cost of living increases that happen on a year-to-year basis.
I had one more
What is the 3% that we saw in let me go back to it.
That was a discussion point that we had with them at the interview, because it said CPI and 3%. There's not either one, there's one or the other. So we clarified that point in the interview, and they suggested to go with CPI on that, and so we further clarified that to 85% of the CPI, as you'll see in the contract.
Please.
Understand that from 10 years ago, the disposal rate, which was somewhere around $60 a ton, is still there. The CPI only applied to the other part of this thing, not the disposal part. The disposal has remained very consistent. And disposal at your transfer station is at $134 a ton right now. The city, until July 1st, was still based on this $60-some a ton. And I just want that clarification. I just really want that clarification. I also want you guys to know that me as the franchise hauler, I have to pay a 10% franchise fee. Any other bidder does not have to pay that fee. So, it's your decision to do what you want to do.
Thank you, Tommy. Mr. India?
So then if the franchisee has to pay the 10%, this 114 and 154 is a lot closer.
150.
Yeah, 114 compared to 150. Although, when we went out for an RFP, this was for the city to contract, independent of the franchise, for sludge hauling.
My current franchise agreement says I have to pay franchise fees unless I have dedicated equipment to the prison. I have a prison truck. I do not have to pay franchise fees for it. To do the city, I would have to have a roll-off truck and at least a dedicated straight truck or bin truck or something. That's all they do. Once that truck goes out and picks up your garbage, Kelly, I have to pay franchise fees on it. For this, I can't afford it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That answers my question.
Okay. So the question I have is the $150 a ton was a major obstacle for the city.
Correct.
When it was realized it was in the contract. And until it was noticed that there was another way to approach it, it was going to create a $40,000 more deficit, if you will, or increase in cost to the sewer fund?
Correct. The 150 compared to the 85 that we had been being charged actually represented more like an $85,000 to $100,000 increase.
Okay, so the point I guess I wanted to make was that the $150 was creating a crisis for the sewer enterprise. And
Correct.
That's the reason we've come back and revisited it. And now, so my question is the $114.75 per ton, is that workable within the sewer enterprise?
At this point, we feel it's going to have to be. This is a necessary operation of the sewer treatment plant, and we feel that we've done our due diligence in obtaining that rate, that lower rate, and with the current revenues, yes, we'll be able to afford the expense.
Okay. And when we do the new Honey Monster, would the Honey Monster offset the sludge potentially?
The Honey Monster is projected to be a revenue source for the city. So yes, some of those, it won't offset it completely, but yes, it'll be an increase in revenues.
It won't offset it till it pays for itself.
Within 2 years.
2 years.
Correct.
Okay, and then another question I have is Hambro or Snoozy Shaving backhauling?
I don't believe they're going to backhaul with the transportation vehicle they're going to use to actually haul the sludge. So this would just be a one-way haul, and they are present to speak to any operational questions you might
And is this 80% liquid, like a Jell-O consistency?
That's correct. It's about anywhere from about 16 to 18% solid.
And then I'm interested in the route that the hauler will take from the wastewater treatment plant. Case in point, once Front Street is developed, it would be problematic, I think, to have those hauling trucks using Front Street necessarily.
Well, actually, with the design of Front Street, we designed it such that a vehicle that would be hauling the sludge bin can navigate Front Street very easily, as well as the structural section of Front Street will be designed for that vehicle. As you know, there's other businesses such as Ottens and gas stations and other industrial type businesses that will require those type of trucks. So they will, from my understanding of their operational process, they're going to take the bin that's at the treatment plant. They'll take it to the Hambro facility. They'll weigh it across certified scales at that point. They'll then consolidate loads into a chip van and then haul that to the Dry Creek landfill.
Okay. Any questions?
Bob, does it have to go to the transfer station?
No.
It doesn't have to go through the transfer station? Okay. I think, I don't know if that's 100% correct. I think the board has the authority to allow it to not be, but I think that in my head, and I could be wrong, that it needs to be weighed at the transfer station. That's up to the mayor.
It's probably not necessary.
And then I had a question also.
Well, I'd like to hear what you have to say, Tommy. Mr. Mayor?
The operators of the transfer station are right here. And the transfer station is not permitted to handle the sludge through the transfer station.
That's right.
The only way that can happen is if it's in closed containers and moves without going through
You're
the
right.
transfer station.
You're right. I was thinking of everything else. Thank you.
Everything else is different.
Yes. And then my next question was, no. When I was reading the Hambro proposal, it talked about possibly leaving the sludge on their premises. And I know that you have to have a special under storage at Snoozy Shaving, should there be an incident at the wastewater treatment plant that creates a larger volume of sludge than expected, a road slide, other unforeseen events, etc., the loaded containers will be stored undercover at Snoozy Shaving's site. So my question, thank you. My question was, is that permitted?
Yes, we've discussed this with Hambro WSG, and they have contacted all the proper permitting agencies, and they feel that they'll be able to obtain any such permits that would be needed.
Okay, so this contract is based on permitting?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions, clarifications?
No, I just think it was helpful to have a contingency plan for, we do have slides and whatnot, so I thought it was helpful to have that built in, so,
Very good.
forward thinking.
Is there public comment on this item? Okay, seeing no public comment, we'll bring
Mayor,
it back to...
could I clarify something?
Please.
I just want to make sure it's understood that the agreement, the proposed agreement that's in your agenda refers to the hauling of sludge. And the sludge is further referred to as consisting of somewhere between 80 and 87% water. And sludge, as defined, is basically a liquid waste, although in the back and forth and sometimes the response, it's referred to as solids. But the sludge is fundamentally liquid waste.
And will we continue to operate with Recology until this contract were to take place?
That's correct.
It's expected to be like 75 days.
Yes, the Ambrose has requested 75 days to obtain all the equipment and commence the work.
Just a point of clarification, and the Hambro and Recology could correct me. Don't other haulers of sludge, or how to put this? I understand that Hambro makes something called Dirty Fines, which is a combination of seafood, what do you call it?
Byproduct?
Byproducts, right? In Dirty Fines? Yeah, okay. And is there a market for combining sludge with any other products that could make it into a profit center, so that it wouldn't have to be hauled out?
We're in the process of
Wes, would you-
investigating.
Wes,
I'm sorry.
would you
Wes White
identify
with
yourself?
Hambro WSG.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Once more. Okay, thank you, Wes.
We're in the process of trying to evaluate a lot of different things, one of which is composting out biosolids. However, when you get into composting of biosolids, you enter a whole different arena of trying to get through the regulatory processes. So we'd have to re-permit our whole composting facility over there. But we're trying to look at a whole lot of different options to what we can do to the sludge to take it to its best end use rather than trying to take it to a landfill. We looked at even taking it to agricultural end use, land spreading it. Economically, we could do that, but economically it's just not as viable, and so we couldn't get our price down as much as so this was the best economic fit that we could find, is taking it to the landfill.
Very good. Thanks for that clarification, Wes.
And Mr. Mayor, may I add?
Please.
In the contract, the proposed contract, paragraph 5.02 provides that if, quote-unquote, a more economical use or disposal procedure for the sludge that results in significant cost savings to the contractor agrees to negotiate a new tonnage rate with the city. So,
Eric just read that to us.
yeah, so it's there.
All right, thank you.
I would also like to point out, with the cost savings that Hambros has provided us, there will be a one-time expense for the city to purchase a forklift. Hambros is going to provide the bins as well as self-dumping bins for treatment plant use. We'll need to provide a forklift, so that we will be purchasing a forklift for about approximately $20,000 is the estimate.
And would that be out of the general fund or the sewer enterprise?
That would be either, and it still needs to be discussed with the finance director and John Cochran, Central Services. Either the sewer fund would pay for it entirely, or possibly out of the equipment fund, such that the forklift could be used by any department, and then there would be a depreciation rate and the equipment would be purchased.
Very good. So it's back to the council.
I'll make a motion to approve the 10-year contract with Hambro WSG.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you pull the vote, please?
Before you pull the vote?
Yes.
Can I ask, sorry, I'm a money girl, the $20,000 for a forklift, how does that work out into the price? How does that make the $114.75 go up?
Well, it all depends on how you look at it. If you spread that out over the
Since you just threw that in there at the last second, so.
Yeah, so it was in their proposal. I meant to bring it up earlier. I apologize. But if you spread it out over the 10 years, and I'm not sure what it would equate to as far as the price per ton goes, but it wouldn't be a large amount. I can run the numbers for you, but it's about $20,000 over that 10 years.
Is that for a new forklift?
That would be for, it doesn't have to be a new forklift. It would be whatever the city would want to purchase, whatever we think is the most economical forklift for our money, so to speak.
I mean, is it a specialized forklift?
It's just a normal forklift. They're going to provide bins that are self-dumping bins, so you don't need the specialized forklift that has the rotator to turn the bins. So it's just going to be a normal forklift.
I would believe that our Public Works Department and the city manager's office would ensure that we'd get the appropriate product to do the job for the best price.
Sure, as well as be functional for the city just in general to have that piece of equipment.
I want to thank Recology for all the work that you've done for us in the past.
Yes.
With the sludge. Thank you for
And
supporting us.
Yeah, I would reiterate that as well. They've been a very dependable service to us.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Ania?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Westfall?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Murray?
Yes.
And Mayor Slurt?
Yes. So motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Thank you. Okay, we come to item number 12, new business. We are going to select a new mayor as item 1, and then Mayor Pro Tem for item 2. Just before we do that, I would like to take a couple minutes and summarize the past year for myself and for this council.
It's going to take a lot longer than a couple minutes.
No, it will. It won't. It's been a unique year of adversities and challenges for our city. It started off with a surprise announcement of the resignation of our former city manager, Rod Butler. So we immediately initiated an interim city manager search. We found the wonderful local Janine Gallet-Dioto as our interim city manager, and then we had to start on the real search for a new city manager. We embarked on that as a council. It took some time. There were back and forth negotiations and a series of interviews. And then throw in there March 11th, the tsunami event, which kind of turned our community upside down on several levels. Then there was the, I would call it the regional combined effort to try to coordinate the harbor recovery because it was obviously a major priority. And then we had this little thing called budgets that we had to deal with. Back in May and June, and we hammered that out, and then we selected our new city manager, Mr. Palazzo. So then we had to take delivery on him in August, and so I wasn't kidding when I was saying that there were some unique adversities and challenges for us. So I would offer that I've been honored and privileged to serve our city as your mayor and to work with our council, and I greatly appreciate the support of my colleagues on the council here. It's been a fast year. And I remember Ms. Shalong, when she was asked what her strongest memory was in her tenure as mayor, and she said it was working with the people, the staff of the city. And I would have to echo that. When you work with the staff on a day-to-day basis as the mayor, it's on another level, and we have an unbelievable staff. So I would like to thank all the people in this room, Mr. Palazzo, Mr. Black, great city attorney, our city clerk, and our department heads and our city staff, because you've all worked very hard and worked very hard every day to make our city a better city in spite of the adversities and the controversies. So I appreciate that. I also wanted to make a special recognition tonight, and unfortunately the members of the bid board aren't here that I was hopeful would be here, in particular Billy Kay and Cheryl of the bid, the president and the vice president. They've made huge sacrifices over the past years, and this year in particular. And there's been a lot of controversy associated with the notion of our downtown Crescent City bid. And I just wanted to share that our Crescent City Council Code of Ethics and Conduct, the core value number 1, and I'm quoting it, says, "I am prepared speaking of ourselves as council members, to make unpopular decisions when my sense of the public best interest requires it. And that's how I felt about my assessment about the bid for Crescent City, and that it is about moving our city forward and making it more viable. So I particularly appreciate those ladies' ongoing efforts in behalf of our downtown business improvement district and trying to make a better business district. And I would offer that I would prefer that our city will be defined by our potential instead of our difficulties or problems. So we've tried to move things forward, and I think there's been some successes, so I appreciate that. So at this time, I would entertain a motion for a nomination of a new mayor.
I nominate Rich Anea for mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I nominate our Mayor Pro Tem, Catherine Murray.
Before, are you going to allow some discussion?
Certainly.
Thank you. Before we have a motion on the floor, or have a second, I guess I should say, I want to thank you. I think I probably am the only one sitting here that knows what you just went through for the past year, because I did it for 2 years, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication and a lot of love for the people that you deal with every day. But what I wanted to say about you, Charles, is I admire your dedication and how organized you are. When I was the mayor, I thought I did a lot of homework, but every Monday night that I sit here next to Charles and keep him in line, I look at the homework that he's done, and he has pages and pages of notes on every single item that we address. And I admire that because you don't do that unless you really have a passion and you really care about what you're doing. And when you become the mayor of the city of Crescent City, if you don't have the passion, you get it real quick. And so the time that you take to organize yourself and learn as much as you can about an issue is I just admire that about you. And and you couldn't do it without the support of your lovely, beautiful wife, Patricia. So thank you to Patricia too, because I know that having her support has been important to you. So.
She's made great sacrifices this year, and I appreciate it greatly.
Yeah,
thank you for those kind words. Okay, so we have.
I wanted to thank Councilmember Westfall for the nomination, but I decline it.
Okay. So
I will second Mr. Anea's.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you pull the vote, please?
Councilmember Westfall?
No.
Councilmember Anea?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Murray?
Yes.
And Mayor Slurt?
Absolutely, yes. So the motion carries unanimously 4-1, and now it's Madam Mayor. Congratulations and welcome aboard. Would you like to do the honors of doing the Mayor Pro Tem?
I just wanted to echo Kelly's sentiments for you, and thank you for your steady leadership and your dedication to the city and all the contributions that you've made as mayor. So thank you very much, Charles.
And I wanted to ask you a question. Was there any month out of the year that was easier than the others?
Absolutely not. And I think it got worse at the end.
Okay.
Mayor, I would nominate Mr. Anea as Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you pull that vote, please?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Westfall? Yes. That's Councilmember Anea. Yes. And that sounded strange to ask him to vote for himself. Mayor Murray?
Yes.
And Councilmember Slurt?
Yes.
That's different.
It's nice to step down.
It is.
Welcome aboard.
So that motion carries unanimously 5-0. So, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Anea, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
and I think we need to shift the seats accordingly to finish this meeting.
I think we should sit up here. So, do you want Charles next to you? No?
I think the
well,
Mayor
pro
Pro Tem
tem,
should be.
yeah.
I know, I was going to move down there.
With that, we'll move on to legislative items. Do we have any from the city manager or attorney?
I passed out some legislative briefings to the council via email from the League of California Cities. It's a lot of reading, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try and find out answers for you.
And thank you for attending that webinar for the California League of Cities.
Actually, Ms. Shalong had made a good point earlier this evening when we were before the meeting. She made the statement that it might be helpful if the council could receive the city manager's reports earlier than the meeting, just prior to the meeting. Give us a chance to review it and go through it so we could have more timely input, perhaps.
Thank you.
So, do we have any reports, concerns, referrals from the city council?
Sure. I attended the airport meeting. I'm on the design committee, and we were able to meet with our lead architects and electrical engineer, I believe, and our project manager, and talk about the first phase of the terminal design. And that was pretty exciting. And just the first meeting of many, but we are on a road to having a beautiful new terminal. And I'll keep reporting that progress as we move forward. I'm especially excited to have been on the airport committee these last couple years and now actually get to take all of our work and move it forward. And I think that the terminal is going to be, well, we're hoping the end result is a destination for our community. So I'm pretty excited about that. I wanted to just really quickly acknowledge our other employees that were not able to be here tonight for their service, because I think they're pretty wonderful themselves. So Eric Apperson, Sergeant for our police department, I have seen him grow from a cop out on the street to a force within the police department. And his leadership skills have become tremendously improved. And he has taken upon himself, well, not taken upon himself, but he has been able to move our Explorer program into an area that I know that our council is extremely proud of. And I'm extremely proud of Eric and the family that he started here in our county and the dedication that he has to our department. So I wanted to thank him. Also, John Cochran, who works in our purchasing department and wears many hats also on our fire department, is just a really dedicated city employee. And when I was the mayor, I loved working around John because he was always very funny. And before I actually got to know him, because I was the mayor, I never could figure John out. But he's a really sweet, really sweet guy and very dedicated and a funny man. And Lisa Spear, who works in our water department and administration, is just someone that I got to know in the past few years. And I just think that she is a tremendous asset to the city. She always has a smile on her face and is always helpful. And she has been with us for 15 years. So I wanted to say thank you to them.
Ms. Westfall, do you have anything to report out?
Yes, there's been a concern about HUD and complaints, and I am taking that up with Jean, and we're going to plan a meeting next month, and I'm very happy to get this underway.
Former Mayor Slurt.
Actually, I had a busy couple of weeks. I have like 12 items, if you'll indulge me. I attended with our city manager an Elk Valley Rancheria ad hoc meeting. Attended Veterans Point of Honor and city staff and Front Street Design Team joint meeting that was very successful. I attended the Veterans Day Parade. And I can't remember, was the art walk in the last 2 weeks? I was there, whenever it was. And then I attended the Veterans Dinner. It was a huge success and a full house. I conducted a couple of interviews with Reader's Digest regarding a follow-up story that they're doing on that We Hear You America contest, and the word from them was that they were delighted with how we spent our money, and they felt that we did a better job of it than the other cities that received contributions. So there's a forthcoming story in Reader's Digest about the success of that, and then they're initiating a new contest for the new year. I also was happy to do a couple interviews with KPOD and KCRE Radio, also about the Reader's Digest follow-up for the $10,000 prize that the city got. And then we had a team meeting regarding Today in America, the effort that Mr. Palazzo has put together and coordinated very well. In that meeting was Jay Serena, Mr. Renfro, and Megan Miller has stepped up and done a great job assisting. I also attended an IGRC meeting, and then met with Mr. Feller, Senator LaMalfa's local representative, and attended a El Tico commission meeting. So that was the last 2 weeks. And then I just would like to share something that was of concern. I was approached by 2 callers this past week, elderly people, ladies, and one lady was literally in tears as she approached me and said that she had been approached by a group that was interested in recalling me. And there's a deadline of November the 28th. But the lady that called in tears indicated that an 18-year-old young man had come to her residence and had also visited her next-door neighbors. And when he was challenged, who was behind him, he responded that Miss Westfall was behind him personally in this recall effort. So I thought it was important for our citizens to know that, in my mind, my opinion, that there's a sense of preying on the innocence of elderly people that have health issues. And for me, it's absolutely wrong and distasteful and disgusting. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
I only attended one meeting last week, and that was the town hall meeting community meeting on the recent break-ins. And I went to Fort Dick, that meeting. That place was packed, the Grange Hall. There was at least 130 people there. And they talked about alarms and weapons and different things, but the main part of that came out, and when people really listened, is when our chief of police was there and spoke about Neighborhood Watch. And as you know, Neighborhood Watch has been in existence in our city for a few years, and we have Neighborhood Watch programs, and now people are interested in it because this is coming very close to home, so they want to set up neighborhood watches. And the sheriff's office was there, and they're going to start coordinating their neighborhood watches in the county. But people are very afraid of the rash of break-ins that have been occurring, and the theme kept on coming back, well, can you get together and you can help each other and things like that, meaning the police and the sheriff and so on. And of course we can. Of course they can. I mean, there's mutual aid, to go and help your place. But I'm very happy that our police department, the people recognize, they see police officers on patrol all the time in the city, and they're wondering why that can't happen in the county. And of course, the county is so big that can't happen. But it's they do see police, and they do see our police department, and our neighborhood watch programs work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to address Mr. Gitlin's letter to the editor, since he's not here tonight. So maybe he'll be watching, but he asked why the rest of the council wasn't at the Veterans Day parade and dinner. So I wanted to let him know that I was sick. However, I did not make the parade because I went to Charlie Rosini's funeral. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is that Charlie Rosini and his wife Rita and their family own Coast True Value in our community and operated it for over 40 years. And I was very honored to give Charlie and Rita the Lifetime Achievement Award this past January at our chamber annual dinner. And when I interviewed Charlie, Rita has Alzheimer's and she's in the convalescent home here. And when I interviewed Charlie about receiving the award, I learned what a great man and wife they were to each other. And he chose not to attend the dinner and receive the award because he didn't feel it would be appropriate for him to do so without his wife. And that made me feel very close to him, and I just really admired his humbleness. And so, unfortunately, his funeral was at the same exact time as our Veterans Parade. But I watched the very end of it, and it was a great turnout. I also wanted to say that I'm really proud of the Del Norte High Warriors. We went to the playoffs in Oakland. We got our behinds beat. But the kids played so hard, and they were just, I'm just really proud of them. We had a great season. And anyway, I just wanted to follow up with that.
I'm glad you brought that up because I also, that day, happened to be sick too. In fact, I was sick for 5 days. But the point I wanted to make is that for that Mr. Gitlin, I'm in the phone book, and he can call me and ask if he wants to know why. But as a council, we can't go to every single function in this town, and usually we try to spread it around and have different people go. It's not any disrespect to the veterans. My dad was a veteran. I lost my uncle on Bataan, and everybody has a story about veterans or whatever group it is. We can't be at every single function, but it's nice to know that people care about the council and the board of supervisors and wonder where we are. And I appreciate that much, but I'm in the phone book, and feel free to call if you're wondering why I'm not at an event. Thank you.
I'm really sorry about the lady that you had to experience the phone call from, Charles. I had the same kind of recent experience where someone told me that Miss Westfall asked if there was anyone at a local Alzheimer's care and assisted living facility that if they were registered to vote and if they could still sign their name, she would come out and get their signature on a recall petition. So very, very sad.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to thank my fellow colleagues that voted for me as mayor. This is a great honor, and I will do my best to live up to the title. I do love our city and our community, and I have passion.
You should fit right in.
I attended the Del Norte Solid Waste Authority meeting, and I apologize for missing the veterans events. I was in Minnesota for a work conference. It was called Opportunities Finance Network, and I did learn something that I think will be applicable to the city, and that art in public places, such as our art walk, and we're celebrating our local artists, creates jobs and is a positive social impact on the community that is measurable. So it was worthwhile to attend for my employment, but it was also worthwhile to hear things that I can apply to for the city. And I do apologize for missing our veterans parade and the dinner. My neighbors did hang out my flag for me, though. If you, as our council members, if you would kindly email me regarding committees that you'd be interested in being assigned to, I'd appreciate that. And I know we've talked about this a couple of times already tonight, but I too have had people talking to me about the recall, and I just want to say that if there is someone at your door or your business and they're pressuring you into signing a recall petition, that you can say no to them and not feel threatened. If you do feel threatened, I'm sure that our police department would be happy to come and ask those people to leave, because it isn't okay to try to bully someone into signing things when they're not prepared to or not interested in doing so. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting until our next regular meeting of December 5th. We do have a strategic planning meeting on December 3rd at noon, is that right?
Noon at the wastewater treatment
Okay,
plant.
so thank you very much.